Speaking of hopping on the MAGA bandwagon just to be on the motherfucking bandwagon, have y'all heard of Red Sullivan?
I have not.
No.
All right, so Red Sullivan is a trans woman fencer. You know I was about to say hiya like karate, the fencers with the swords, like ungard. That's what I was thinking in my brain. Ungard.
Yes, honey. Very, very Maid Marian with it. Very Knights of King Arthur.
Period, period, period. So she is a white trans woman who goes to Wagner College, and she was on their fencing team, and um and during a match of her, their women's fencing team, and during a match with her, an opponent fencer, Stephanie Turner, removed when they was about to start their match. Stephanie Turner removed her mask and bent the knee, which is customary in the game, to refuse to fence with Red Sullivan. So it caused this big right wing celebration of Stephanie Turner as a cis woman, saying that I am not going to fight against a man. I'm not going to fight against this trans thing. I think that it's unfair. And so the right wing media kind of started to celebrate her. Even the crazy Daisy, J.K. Rowling was very much on her nuts, or not having nuts, but you know what I mean, jocking her, swinging on her pussy hair. It's like, oh my God, she's amazing. She's a heroine, and she's standing up for women's sports. And so, we've heard this story before. We've heard cisgender women refusing to play against trans women, but yes, against fencing. But this is the gag. So we done heard the women's sports stories. We done heard that. But this is the gag to me about this story. Y'all know that fencing is co-ed, right?
That's that's what I was thinking. No shade, because again, going back to the Knights of King Arthur's court, fencing during that time was a form of self-defense. It was just like shooting at the range. And if you learn how to shoot, you learn how to shoot at all targets, regardless of gender. If you're learning self-defense, especially as somebody who's cisgender woman, you need to learn how to defend yourself against somebody who's born male.
The gag is she has played with against and won against cisgender men. This
Yeah, no, that's just what, like, that's doing the most when you've all, like, yeah. So what is she trying to say? Like, I don't understand. Like, if this is about someone being assigned male at birth, and you've already are competing against people assigned male at birth, I don't understand what's the issue. Like,
Let
I
me
like,
don't
just
understand the issue either, unless you're broke. Because guess what? She started getting
listen,
money, money and sponsorship from the right wing to take this stance.
long story short, she is telling you that she's MAGA. She's telling you that she is anti-trans specifically. Again, this is a co-ed sport. Like taking this stance ain't even a real motherfucking stance. In a co-ed sport,
right,
gender is already irrelevant.
right. No, you're right. We're in this next era of the orange person, and what that definitely brought in a different kind of way was this era of grifting. So we're about to be into a new season of grifting. I think this is definitely a highlight of that, and for all of us to stay alert when folks are going to try to exploit our community or our struggles on both sides, quote unquote, of like we ain't fucking with trans people, MAGA, and also we fuck with trans people, but on some weird shit with it. So yeah, no, this is sad, but I guess expected more of the more bullshit like this is to come.
I was initially thinking it's to be expected, but then you saw how we see how fast Target got hit, and people already organizers are already putting together plans to defund Walmart. You know what I mean? So I thought that motherfuckers would learn from Target, honey.
But you know, Fifth is not as big as That's I think if she was in a different sport that was more popular with the general public, you could, I don't know, but who knows, right? Because they might lose some sponsorship and all that kind of stuff in terms of their professional life and pissed off people in the fencing community as well,
That's
who fuck with trans folks, who support us, who are on those transphobic bullshit.
I'm riding your wave, Jay, and I'm also riding your wave, Diamond. I agree with both of y'all. I think that this is you all pun intended. This is a pussy take, Miss cisgender woman. It's no shade. This you didn't you should have grabbed onto that trans woman's nuts and tried to gain some kahunas of your own and really took a stance because you ain't hitting shit with this one, bitch. Just like you wasn't hitting shit with that numb ass sword, honey.
So, some of the people were asking her after she took a knee, they asked her, like, was this planned? And she definitely confirmed that taking a knee during this moment was pre-planned. It was a pre-planned protest. And it's kind of has become this kind of right-wing cause of opponents of transgender women in sports. Even she was even given an award for quote unquote bravery. Which I just feel is crazy. I just think it's crazy and ironic just because she literally the week before, I'm like, if you pre-plan this, at least give it a couple of games to take a break where it can make sense. But a week before, they literally pitch you in Swarthmore, Philadelphia, March the 23rd. They literally put you against four cisgender men, and you had no problem with doing it. And I'm sure you felt like Wonder Woman.
Oh, poor little Tank, honey. Pray for her. You know she wanted a moment and she got it. We know with them people, the math never maths with them people, especially in their IQ. Girl, I would suggest you not take the knee on no more fencing competitions because we already not checking for fencing, bitch.
Yeah, and
Step
that goes back to what we have talked about, and I hear other people talk about. It's other games that people are like tripping about trans women playing, like even in billiard, like they are having an issue with trans women playing in the
Right.
billiard game, in chess, like even in chess, like, and if you
Yeah, yeah.
hear some of their reasonings, it is very, very misogynistic. It's like we can have a conversation, an honest conversation about
Absolutely.
physical biological difference in regards to that. And pre hormones, we
Mhm.
can that can be something we can debate about. But when
Mhm.
when you're talking about something that only takes your mind, I got and it gets started to be
And
really
it's already been co-ed, right? It's already
yeah.
been co-ed for years, right? So it's not as if you're not in a situation where you're exclusively competing against other women anyway. So yeah. Not
child.
saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not, like, this argument around trans women. It's like you already competing against, scratch what I just said the fuck out because I think that sounded weird. But if you're already competing against people who are assigned male at birth, I don't understand why all of a sudden that's just going to change because you're talking about trans women. Like,
They
It's just transphobia.
right, it's just plain old regular schmegular, good old American style, transphobia. Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, honey, mind you, it ain't just America style because speaking of the misogyny
Facts.
and transphobia in sports and competition, period, they use the very misogynistic excuse of taking trans women out of chess matches and making chess matches based on sex assigned at birth because they said that people who are born male were more intelligent than people who are born female, which we know is nonsense. So yeah, so when these women, cisgender women specifically, take these anti-trans stances, they're standing with misogyny. They're standing with patriarchy. They're standing with this idea that all you have to do is be born with a penis or some resemblance of a penis, and automatically you're better in every way at everything. And that is fucking foolish. Now, like Diamond said, we can have the competition about physicality, but even that is murky water because you always going to have trans women like me who are 5'5" and under, and you always going to have cisgender women who are 5'7" and above. So
Yep.
again, what, where do we start? Where do we end? Like I always say, these people are landing themselves on the wrong side of history. If they don't come out with some phony fake ass apology, which is still going to land them on the wrong side of history. And shout outs to them for leaving a legacy as a fool.
So I want to point out that Stephanie Turner, the cisgender woman who refused to fight, is 31, and Red Sullivan is 19. She's a 19-year-old trans woman. And that Red, subsequently, because of the transgender attacks on her in the sport, she actually has quit the women's team, which is unfortunate that she didn't go on. But yeah, but the consequences on the other side is that because Stephanie Turner, the cis woman, refused to play against Red, she got a black card from the referee, which is something that you get in the game, and that disqualified her from the U.S. fencing tournament. So she
Oh
wasn't able
shit.
to be eligible as an
So,
opponent in moving forward in her game either. So her playing this stupid game of protesting for no reason, even though you fight against this men, even though you really knock it doesn't make sense because you're talking about women not having opportunity in the sports, and then you ruin your opportunity by not fighting the trans woman when you already fight cis men. It is crazy to me. That is insane. So I wanted to point that out. And even though Sullivan was kind of reluctant to speak to journalists about it, she did speak to the Rolling Stones journalist and said that my entire life is political, and she's like she anything that she does, it has to it's going it, there's she was like there's a million things more important to talk about than a silly little fencing tournament in Maryland. She says, let alone, to be real specific, two people whom neither were going to win the event. She was like, neither one of us was good enough to win the event. So even if we would have fought, it would have went nowhere. so, so what are y'all thoughts on that?
you ruined your own opportunity, like you said. You sat there. You're complaining about losing opportunities. Women, you're losing opportunities in sports just to turn around to become a woman who lost an opportunity in sports. Like that's so wild. And like I think what you were referring to. Oh shit! Sorry for all that movement. Um, it's like you were like your chances to even try to be on an Olympic team. Like that's wild. Like I'm imagining this person has probably already worked so hard and to like
You're
sacrifice.
31. This is a baby. She's 31, and this is the trans 19-year-old.
Hold on. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to the age because that's just wild that you would talk to, like when you're a whole grown person with a baby. But just like I'm sure they've sacrificed, like you already know, like you gotta be like hella committed to some shit to be on a level where you're like, I might be in the Olympics. So like that takes a lot of time, that's taking a lot of money, and you threw all that shit away over fucking transphobia. That is wild to me. But that's how stupid racism be. Like, here the fuck we are dealing with all this shit, and everybody like, all this shit's getting cut, everything's horrible. Because you voted for the horrible. You said, Killer Kamala or a literal Nazi. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, play, what they say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like, hey, shit, that's wild. And just so stupid. Like, that's the other part. I'm just like, that's so stupid. But I'm sure they made some money, like you said. I'm sure it's a grift, but that's not gonna last. So you got yourself a little one-off on some coin and destroyed your career to the point where like whatever money you're making right now is not going to compensate for what the fuck you just lost over transphobia.
She said, this match ain't going nowhere, so I'm going to stand with patriarchy, Donald Trump, white supremacy. And last but definitely not least, the one that brings them all together, transphobia. Baby, we already know these bigots always be in the same motherfucking boat, and I told you the ship is going down. It's going down in history as a goddamn fool.
So let us know what y'all think about the Red Sullivan and Stephanie Turner incident, fencing incident, where literally is literally just about being transphobic. Yeah. And let us know what you think. Hashtag Marsha's Plate.
Hashtag MARSHASPLATE.
The best way to support is to engage with the content. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Another way to support, if you got a couple of dollars, become a patron.